Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be talking out of my ass for almost this entire video because I don't have a single structure plan. I also really hope I don't get in trouble for telling some of these stories. Might happen though. Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm back. Yeah. And I decided that I have no video ideas. Like, I'm not creative at all. But something that is interesting is the random shit that's gone on in my life. So I was like, why not talk about some of that? It's story time. So I figured one of the first stories I should tell is my first kiss.
My first kiss went a little like this.
This is an interesting story. So I was 15. I was a late bloomer, I guess. Like, everyone was always so shocked when I was like, oh yeah, no, I've never had my first kiss. They're like, how? And I'm like, because I fall for people who don't want me. Almost 5 years later, and that's still the case. So I had a crush on this girl. I'm not gonna say her name, but if she sees it, hey. But I had a crush on her for about 3 or 4 months, probably about like 3-4 months, yeah, before. And she would like flirt with me constantly, like all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, like I think she likes me, like, oh my god, right? It was a competition for our competitive drama season, like our theater season. And it was sectional. So everyone was in the auditorium because they were about to announce like who is going to state like blah 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 blah. I had texted my best friend because I knew me and this girl wanted just to walk around and hang out for a little bit. And I texted my best friend and I was like, yo, let me know when the awards are starting so I know when to like dip, because I'm not trying to be late, you know. I'm not trying to get screamed at. I never got the text. So I am out and I'm walking around the halls. It's at my high school. Sectionals was hosted at my high school. And I was out and I was walking around with this girl. And you know, we were talking and I'm so nervous because I was like in love with her. Sorry. Oh, bad memories. Okay. We were just like walking around and I remember we were walking down the English hallway. I remember exactly where this is too. And I was just talking, like we were just like doing whatever, and we stopped for a little bit. Like I was just kind of like standing closer, like facing away, but my back like to the lockers. She was like in front of me, and we were talking, and then I checked my phone to see one if my best friend texted, and another one of my friends had texted me asking me like some question. And so I like responded. I was like, I started like putting my phone in my back pocket, and I told her I was like, oh sorry, so and so just asked me. And then next thing I know, I'm shoved up against the locker. Like it was like I'm not kidding. Like it was that shit that you see or like you read in a fan fiction. That's exactly what happened to me. I think my first kiss was like planned from a fan fiction, because there's no way that actually happens. Or a movie. Like I was just talking. Like I was seriously mid-sentence and then boom, I did, you know, one of those boom. And so she like pushes me up against this locker and just starts like making out with me. And I'm like, slow the fuck down. Like I've never kissed anyone. Like I was like, dude, like my first kiss was literally a fucking makeout. I was not ready. I was like, I felt like that nerdy like guy in like those movies that like a girl shows like interest in them and they don't even know where to put their hands. Like that was me. I didn't know where to put my fucking hands. I didn't know what to do in that moment. But apparently I kept up really well. I think I kept up. No, she told me I kept up really well. Sorry. So that happened. And then like, oh god, I'm remembering more as I talk about it. So we're like walking back to like the auditorium where the awards was. Like she's holding my hand, like life is good, whatever. And I find out the awards have already basically started. So I'm like running. And like I sit with like my cast, you know, and they're like, where were you? And I just start like smiling. They're like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, yeah, I don't fucking know. And you know, like we just kept like flirting, doing whatever. And then I finally, maybe 2 months, a month and a half later, told her that I liked her, because I was like, no, there's no way she doesn't like me back. Like she kissed me, she flirts with me all the time, you know, all this stuff. So I sent her a text and I was like, hey, I have feelings for you. And then she left me on red for over a day. I totally forgot that happened until literally right now. Oh my god. So she left me on red for like a day. And so I get pissed off because I'm like, how fucking dare you? You ain't doing this shit to me. Like, no. Fuck that. To this day, if someone pulled that shit on me, if someone like didn't respond to something that was really important like that, I'm going off because I'm like, you're a piece of shit human being. Like, an hour or two, fine. Or through the night, fine, but I better be waking up to a text, your response like the next morning. So I texted her and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I just told you all this and you're not even gonna have like the decency to respond. And then she like responded and then she, oh my god, I'm remembering so much. But she told me, she's like, I don't have feelings for you. I'm just sexually attracted to you. And I went, I said, Little 15-year-old me, no, 16 at this time. 16-year-old me went, You just, And then she was like, I'm not ready for a relationship. She was like, I'm just not ready. And I'm like, okay. And then she starts dating this guy like 2 weeks later, and then they got engaged, and they're still engaged to this day. I can't believe I let that happen to me. That definitely happened. That was the story of my first kiss. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you felt, my pain while I was telling that. Yeah. Okay, another story. I have 2 near-death experiences. Both fairly pathetic. It wasn't something cool. It wasn't like, oh my god, like I got like hit by like a car and I survived. No. So the first one, I was about 9 or 10 and I was at a water park. I'm not gonna say the water park because I feel like that'd be wrong and I don't want to, I was with my aunt and like my cousins and like all that stuff. And mind you, when I was 9, I was an absolute twig. Like, I had actually like no meat on me. I was seriously fucking bone. It was kind of ridiculous. So there was this slide. There were 2 slides. And it was the kind of slide that goes like, you're at the top and then it just goes basically straight down. But there wasn't like a cover, like a hood on it, whatever you want to say it. It was just a straight fucking down slide. And I was like, fuck yeah, because I don't give a shit. Like, I'm a whore for like roller coasters, rides, water slides, like anything like that. Like, I don't care. I go on. And I'm stepping like on the actual slide, and you know how typically when you're on a water slide there's the bar so you can like kind of hold on to. I was holding on to that and I was about to go, and then more water than what was originally coming out came out as I stepped, so my foot went up and I went off the side of the slide. Mind you, this slide was probably like 100 feet like tall, big ass rocks at the bottom. So if you're like this, going like this is the slide. I was like this. I was hanging off like this. But it was weird because my body was like this because I was still hanging on to the bar. Like, I was hanging on to that shit. Like, I was like, nah, I don't want to die. Now, if it was now, I'd be like, if I just, like, fucked around. Like, ooh, one pinky. I was, like, screaming, and I was calling to the people, like, the teenagers on the top of the slide, like, the lifeguards, whatever. I was screaming for probably about 30 seconds. And, this doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're hanging, to your death, it's a little bit of a long time. So I'm like hanging there, and if they finally pulled me up, my poor aunt is probably having a heart attack, like down on the ground, because she's watching this whole thing. And they pull me up, and I was like, what the fuck? But then I still went down the slide. Yeah, I still went down. I have no shame. I went down 2 more times after too. I was like, I'm gonna keep going. Fuck that. And when I got off the slide, I like noticed I had blisters and blood like all over my palms and my fingers because I was holding onto that bar so tightly. And yeah, that's how I almost died at a water park. My second near-death experience, again, is, if you believe it or not, is even worse than the first one. Like, it's even more lame and kind of ridiculous. So, I'm gonna sound like a nerd. If you guys follow me on anything or you know me, you know I love Judy Garland, who, if you don't know, played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Love Judy Garland, one of my favorite artists, multiple vinyls, know her entire life story, watched so many documentaries, stuff like that. There was a Judy Garland impersonator performing in Chicago. And I was like, I gotta fucking go, bro. Fuck yeah. So my dad and I, we get tickets and we go, and it was like one of the best nights of my life. And we were coming home, and by the time from driving where it was in Chicago, because it was more north, and I'm more south, it was probably like a 45-minute drive. And by the time that was done, like the concert itself and driving home, we probably got back to like my town around 11 at night. And so we're like, no, we're fucking hungry. Let's go get food. So we go to this restaurant, and, you know, no one's in there. The restaurant runs really late. Like, it doesn't, you know, close early. So we're the only ones in there. And I order like whatever Greek style like chicken I got, and then I got soup. I got broccoli cheddar soup. Okay. My dad goes to the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, I'm fucking starving. I want this broccoli cheddar soup. So I am starting to eat this broccoli cheddar soup, and I start choking. Like, I am like choking, and it's not like a choking like, okay, like give it like 2 seconds and a couple coughs, and like couple of coughs. But it wasn't like that where it's like, oh, I'll be fine. No. Like, I was to the point where I couldn't cough anymore. No one's like looking at like 16-year-old me dying in the middle of this goddamn restaurant. Like, no one's turning the head because no one's there. But no one even pops like a head out of a kitchen and be like, oh, you good? No, I'm dying, and I'm like chugging my water, chugging like this cherry Pepsi that I had, and absolutely dying, like tears streaming down my face. All of my dad's still in the fucking bathroom. And I'm like, this is it. I'm like, this is how I'm gonna go. If I go out after just seeing a Judy Garland impersonator, I think that's okay. I think I can say I've hit my peak. I think that, honest to God, was my peak. Finally, I start being able to cough again, and I'm breathing, like I'm fine. And my dad comes in, like he walks back to like the table, and he's like, what the fuck happened? And I'm like, bitch, I damn near died. You would have been planning my funeral on the way home. Like, shit. And it was so bad to the point that every time I ate any bit of my food, I would start choking again. Like, I would just keep fucking coughing. It like quite literally would not stop. And I barely ate that night, and it was really depressing because all I really wanted was that Greek style like chicken. I was so upset. This story, I hope I don't get in trouble for posting about this. This story is a weekend I just can never let go of. I will be in my 70s talking about this weekend because it shaped me and it changed me in ways. A lot of lessons were learned this weekend. A lot of tears were shed this weekend. A lot of pain was just happening this weekend. This was the story of when I went to Theater Fest my senior year. So, oh God. There's a person that might be watching this, and they know exactly what this is about, and I'm so sorry, but this is kind of a funny story, a really bad but funny story. You understand why I need to tell it. Yeah, so I'm gonna tell it. I don't know how to start this. Going in to Theater Fest, I had been talking to this girl, and we had been talking for probably over 2 months now. We've been talking. And it was kind of long distance, kind of not really long distance. I don't drive. Her parents never let her drive here. So we never got to see each other. We knew that the first time, we'd be seeing each other in a very long time was at Theater Fest. So before, while going there, I was so fucking excited. Bro, I was the first day, I think it was Thursday? Friday? Whatever day that was. One of the first day was, I was like, no one fucking touched me. I'm on cloud 9. I'm seeing shoddy. No one fucking talked to me. So it was a really good, trip there. It was about a 2.5 hour drive. We were all vibing. Everyone was in such a good mood. Life was good at this point. And we get there. Everything's fine. We go to the opening ceremony. Because at the theater, this theater festival, it's everyone in my state. And there's workshops. There's shows you can see. Stuff like that, and there's an opening ceremony for everyone to watch. We all get Panera, and I find out that the girl I was talking to was staying at the same hotel as I was. And that's when I looked up at God and I went, thank you, my dude. You did me one. You did me one. I disappointed God this weekend. Or whoever's up there. I'm really not religious. But I disappointed the universe this weekend because they're like, I'm gonna give you this. And then I went, I'm gonna fuck it up. So I was like really happy. I wanted to see her the first day. I could not see her. And it was like, fine. I was like, no, we got 2 days. Like, it's whatever. So the next day, it was like 6 in the morning. I wake up at like 6 in the morning. I'm like, I'm gonna do my makeup. I'm gonna look good. I'm gonna see Shadi. And I knew I had a show to see with my 2 friends at like 9 in the morning. So we like had to leave early. 7 o'clock rolls around. And I was like, you know what? Like, we have time before we have to go. I'm gonna go get coffee. Because this is when I had a severe caffeine addiction. Like, that's not even like a joke. I had an actual severe caffeine addiction. And I was like, I need coffee. I think I brought about 4 Monsters to that trip. I'm not even exaggerating. I probably brought about 4 or 5 Monsters. I go downstairs, go to the lobby, go to where like they're selling the food. And I'm making my coffee. My friend Lexi's right next to me. And I'm talking to Lexi. I'm making my coffee. I'm doing whatever. And I turn around and there was the girl that I was talking to. And I was like, I froze. Like, we made eye contact, and I have caught, where's like my drink? I was like this, I was like I was frozen. And she looked absolutely beautiful, and I was like, I don't know what to say. I am a useless lesbian. Like, I don't know what to do in this moment. And she's like, hi, and I was like, hi, and she's like, you did your makeup. Oh my god, I can't even. She's like, you did your makeup. And I was like, yeah. And then I walked away. Yeah, you heard that right, folks. I walked away. I didn't. I walked away. And I looked at my friend Lexi. And I looked at Lexi. She was kind of looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? I walked away. I looked at Lexi, who followed me. And I looked at her and I just went, you need to hold my coffee. And she's like, why? And she looks down, and I am not, this seriously is not an exaggeration. I'm like this. Like, if I kept holding it, it was gonna spill. So she's like, oh shit, okay. So she grabs my coffee and she's holding it, and I'm just standing there and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I just did that. I'm like, I just did that. Who allowed me? None of my friends were downstairs yet, right? So I go to like the table that some people from my school were sitting at, and I sit there and I'm like, I need someone, like I need to look at someone, like I need to talk to someone, because she's across the room. And I'm like, do I go talk to her? Do I go apologize? I don't know what to do. Like, I'm freaking the fuck out right now. And I see my friend's ex-boyfriend. She never lets me live this down either. Like, I cannot, this is just never gonna be let down. I see my friend's ex-boyfriend and I'm like, Caleb knows the situation. Caleb knows who she is. I can talk to Caleb. I'm talking to Caleb now. So I go and I'm like, I look at him and he's like, hey, and I'm like, hey, and he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I fucked up. And he's like, what happened? And I'm like, I really fucked up. So I explain the whole thing, and then like my friends start coming down and we're sitting at the table. I'm like looking at her, seeing if she's looking at me because I was gonna go over there, and I'm like, this is it. I'm like, it is 8 in the fucking morning, and this is how my day started. And if you're like, oh god, that's horrible, it gets worse. So I'm miserable. I'm absolutely miserable. And we're going to see this show. This show, what was it called? I don't even remember. This show was god awful. It was an hour and 45-minute show with no intermission. We could not leave. My best friend was asleep next to me. Me and my other friend were making jokes, all that shit, and I was like, because it was so bad, like we were trying to entertain ourselves because it was so bad. So that happens. We finally get out, and then we go to like the main center because Theater Fest is at a college. So we go to like where they were selling like coffee. There was a Starbucks. My friends knew I wanted to go see a certain workshop, and then they left me. I had a venti, like whatever frap from Starbucks, and I was left alone. I was walking around this goddamn college campus by myself because all of my friends left me. And I was like, this is it. And then I finally run into someone who I knew, and I was like, oh, I'm going to this workshop. And she's like, oh my God, I'm going too. And I was like, bitch, can I please come with you? And she's like, yeah, of course. So she kind of saved my life right there. And then I meet up with my friends after this workshop, like my school friends. And we go out to, like, because we're hungry. We're going to go get food. We go get food. I get 3 cheese tortellini with broccoli cheddar soup. I feel like now is the good time to mention I am lactose intolerant. So I had the frap, I had the coffee, I had the 3 cheese tortellini, and I had broccoli cheddar soup. And this whole day, I was just crying, like on and off, like I was absolutely miserable. And a little bit after we ate, I started getting the worst stomach pains of my entire existence of life. So I go back to the hotel, and I am in the hotel. I cannot leave my bed for 2 hours. I have my friend like rubbing my back like the entire time. I'm like downing Advil, Tums. I'm like, and I am in literal misery right now. Like, it's so bad. And then we go back to the college, and we were gonna go see shows. I'm still in so much pain. I have my other friend with me, just still rubbing my back in the middle of public. My head is down on this table. I'm absolutely just done with life. And it starts downpouring on all of us. Absolutely downpouring. Like, to the point where if, like, you go like this with, like, the clothes, water's coming the fuck out. It was literally ridiculous. So we go back to the hotel, and I find out I'm not seeing Shawty that night or the next day. And I'm like, this is it for me. This is, I finna jump out this window, y'all. I'm jumping out this window. So that was a bad night. I was hysterical while all of my friends were on the same bed, just holding me. Oh my God, I forgot this happened. One of my directors was in the room next to me, and they had to put a pillow over me because I was crying so loud. We wouldn't get asked if I was okay because I was like silenced. They're like, shh. So the next day, we see the last show, and we're on our way home. Now, if you remember, it was a 2.5 hour drive. We are driving back Sunday night, I believe it was Sunday night, in a blizzard. It was a literal blizzard. And my friend, Alyssa, she's like, I'm feeling real nauseous right now. And we're like, girl. She's like, I get car sick. And I'm like, girl. So we stop at a gas station, we get her a bunch of bags. The entire ride home, she is profusely vomiting in this literal goddamn minibus that can only hold about 12 people. She is just vomiting. And the bags of vomit, we can't just stop, so the bags of vomit like tied up or like in the front of the van with like one of my directors driving. And it was so bad because I had the speaker, like I was in charge of like the music. And he's like, Alexis, can I request a song? And I'm like, dude, you request anything you want. You are sitting next to vomit. Like, can you put on Hey There Delilah? I'm like, of course. So we're all singing because we're theater kids. We're singing Hey There Delilah. And it's the chorus and it's the, oh, it's what you do to me. And then all you hear is just vomiting. Just profuse vomiting. We're passing around my perfume, like trying to like get the shit together. And Alyssa, she just keeps vomiting, and I was like, you know what, we need to bring up the mood. I put on Low by T-Pain, Shawty got them apple bottom jeans, right? And Alyssa stands up on the bus, starts throwing it back with her bags of vomit in her hands. I cannot make this up. While I'm also crying. I'm still crying on this bus, but like this is happening. I'm kind of laughing my ass off while crying. And it was funny because when we stopped at that gas station, I didn't even realize that I did this. I just saw it and I went, ooh, that looks really good right now. And I'm in the middle of drinking it, what I'm drinking. And Jasmine, my friend Jasmine, looks at me and she's like, girl, aren't you lactose intolerant? I had chocolate milk. And Catherine looks at me and she's like, are you fucking serious? Like after what you just went through? And I'm like, bro, I didn't even think about it. My bad. So yeah, that happened. And then Alyssa texts us in the group chat the next day that her lung collapsed. I can't make this up. She's completely fine now. She's okay. But her lung did collapse on the way home from Theater Fest. So that'll happen in probably the span of 3 days, 2.5, you know. That was my weekend. I will forever be changed because of that weekend. Yeah. Well, y'all, hope you liked that one. That was a lot. If you want me to do another one of these, I'm sure I can figure out a couple stories. I got a lot. I'll hopefully create another video soon. I have some ideas, and I know I said that the last time, but like, you know, maybe I'll actually do it. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow my TikTok, follow my Instagram, add me on Snapchat. It's all down below. And then my merch is also linked down below. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. This has been fun. I might get in trouble for this. Yeah, I love you guys. Bye.
Hot summer nights, mid-July, when you and I were forever.